So, welcome to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always excited about coming forward. Today is absolutely no different. Today's episode, I'm going to be speaking to something that I think we could definitely get some clarity on and find use of in our daily walk with daily walk with God. And these things are just examples or testaments to getting the full experience of our walk with God, being able to utilize things that are readily available that God has put upon us that are, highly useful in us obtaining some form of clarity or understanding during very unstable and tumultuous times, y'all. And I hope you all appreciate these communications that I have, because it really is it comes with a lot. You would think we would live in a world where such communications would be applauded. You would be supported in coming forth with something as fundamental as spiritual truths. Just empowering yourself spiritually. You would think that it would be something that the world would embrace and would accept openly, and that it would be the least challenging of all the paths of life. You would think if God is the creator of this entire system, you would think the least challenging aspect of life would be knowing God and standing in your knowing. But I'm here to tell you, y'all, it is the most challenging thing you can do in this world. It is the most challenging. It's as if it's set up for you it's set up for you just to say, forget it. It is. Once you get so deep in it, it gets to a point that it becomes extremely challenging. It's as if it's easier to do the things that will never serve you. It's easy to default to the things that will never serve you spiritually. Literally. I'm telling you, I honestly believe that my life would be so much easier if I were to come on here and talk about clothes and shoes and hair and makeup and celebrity gossip and all that kind of stuff. My life will be so much more easier probably. But instead, I've had the kitchen sink, the skillet, the stove, everything thrown at me, y'all. Y'all don't understand. You don't even understand. You really don't. It's like one thing after the next. But I'm going to stay focused. Today's conversation I had on my mind last night while I was having my spiritual moment. And I want to speak to divination today. I want to speak to all the different forms of divination that the priestly house of Israel, the Hebraic house, used. I don't need to speak to all of them because I don't know all of them, but I can speak to the ones that the Bible conveys. And this commentary is not to legitimize divination, neither is it to demonize it. It's to shed light on it, to expose it as to how the heads of the house used such things. Before I get started, I have to say a prayer because the devil is busy today again, and we bind him. So I'm going to lead this with a prayer. Father, I come before you in love, looking for you. You know what I'm dealing with. I ask that you come and supersede yourself in between all of the circumstances and situations that those that are watching me find themselves in and that I find myself in. I ask that you fill in the gaps, that you make the rough edges smooth within all of our experiences with one another. I ask that you send your angels of protection round about us to cover us, to protect us and our families, to be in between us and them and that and whatever that may come to rob us of whatever peace and joy and happiness and level of stability, fundamental stability that we desire in this life. That is of our birthright. I ask that you send your angels round about to convene amongst all of us and bind all of those spirits, hand and foot, mouth, eye, and ear. Hog tie them and throw them out of this space. Now, throw them out of all that watch this video space. Remove them and cast them down into the abysmal pit of hell, the everlasting fall. Allow in their stead, in their replacement, spirits of abundance and joy and prosperity and health and wealth and stability and goodness and mercy. And let these spirits be abound in all of our spaces, within all of our families. We are deserving of such. We are the rightful heirs of such. Not because of default, but because of the meditation of our heart, because of the dedicated walk that we have led within this life in real time. Let our life speak for us now. Supersede, Father. I give you all the power and the glory. I have complete and utter faith in you. For I know these are small things. And in God's name I pray, amen. All right, y'all. This is a off the beaten path podcast because I could have rested in that for a long time. Divination. As it relates to scripture, divination has been a very useful tool to the house of Israel. When we look at the walks of these children outside of what occurred in the Garden of Eden amongst Adam and Eve, after their decline and their descent in the physical world of matter, we see a break in the communications with God. Adam and Eve, in their initial state, were in their total wholeness and they could go before God and speak to God one-on-one. But after certain decisions were made and acts were done, they lost this form of communication. And we find that their descendants would descend into further disconnect from having the one-on-one communication with God as their parents or forefathers had. Where I'm picking up at in maybe the Old Testament where Moses comes into play and God introduces this ephod to Moses. We find that the children have gotten into a place where they are no longer able to go before God and convene with God, and that God would have someone such as Moses go before him as a middleman between God and the children. And God would introduce this ephod. And I know many of you are wondering, what is an ephod? Well, an ephod is a device used to discern God's word, to add another level of clarity to the children of God. It is a mediator. It's like a yes or no answer to a question that's very important and that the people need immediately. They can't wait for God to come upon them at will. They need an immediate answer to a question regarding the state of affairs of the house. And so God provides this ephod, and it's a breastplate. It's a breastplate that they would wear. The priests, only the priests would wear this, and they would wear it, and it would have 12 stones on them. And these stones would all be conducive to each tribe. You see, each tribe, each of the 12 tribes has a stone, kind of like a zodiac. You know, the zodiac, the 12 zodiacs, each zodiac sign has a stone, a crystal that is distinctive to that particular sign. It was the same way with the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel had each a distinctive stone that designated each tribe from one another. And these stones would all be laid out on this breastplate that the priests would wear. And this breastplate would be used, the spirit within the breastplate would be called the Urim and Thummim. And the Urim and Thummim are conveyed as lights and perfect truths. So it would be that this breastplate would light up if once asked a question pertaining the house of Israel to God, the breastplate would answer the question. One form of it would be that it would answer the question by lighting up a particular light or using a particular method to convey the answer. And in most instances, it would light up a particular light or a word or a symbol on the breastplate. And a lot of times they would know the distinguishment between the truths because they would know the spiritual significance of each house as it related to the question. And then they would know the specific symbols on the breastplate as it relates to the question. So it's a complete science. It's a system of lights. And you would use these lights in whatever capacity that they would light up on the breastplate to distinguish the truth. Now, this particular ephod this form of divination is not exclusive to just an ephod. You had various forms that people would use to get a word from God. They would cast lots and they would throw stones and different things to determine the answer to spiritual questions as well. Many of you have heard in the Bible, they would cast lots and they would discern truths by casting lots. These are all divination practices. The word ephod is very similar to the Yoruba word ephah. Ephod. And casting lots is one technique that the Yoruba tradition uses to determine yes and no answers, destinies. They could look and see someone's entire lifespan and what would potentially occur within a lifespan based upon what is seen in the casting of lots. When we look at Jonah on the boat and the people not understanding what's going on because the ocean is turbulent and they're seeing that their lives are at stake, they cast lots to see what is going on. All of these practices were very prevalent in the world. So the Urim and Thummim and the ephod is very synonymous, but is synonymous to exclusively the house of Israel. This would be something that God would give to Moses and that Moses would pass on to Joshua to allow the children to understand direction from God. Now, why would Moses give this breastplate to Joshua? He would give this breastplate to Joshua because Joshua would not go directly before God. Moses would be the one to do that. And after Moses' transition, Joshua would be the head of the house because Aaron would have been excluded. He would transition. So Joshua is the head, and Joshua would use these divination practices very heavily in the priesthood or the priesthood would use it very heavily to assist Joshua in discerning directions and directives that God will have for the children. We find in Exodus chapter 28, verse 30, the first instance of this, and it says, "And in the breastpiece of judgment you shall put the Urim and Thummim, and they shall be on Aaron's heart, and he goes in before the Lord. Thus Aaron shall bear the judgment of the people of Israel on his heart before the Lord regularly." So we see that Moses and Aaron are using this breastplate very exclusively and regularly. It says it specifically in the Bible that they would use this on a regular basis, this ephod, this divination system, to communicate with God as to the directives that God would want them to take in leading the children. We find in Leviticus chapter 8, verse 8, "And he placed the breastpiece on him, and in the breastpiece he put the Urim and Thummim." So we're seeing that in many of the books of the law, many of the books of the early traditions of the house, this breastpiece, this centralized system of communing with God, that is a form of divination. It is divination. It's an oracle. It acts as an oracle to commune with God on everyday situations. These are not the heavy-hitting situations that God would have Moses go on Mount Sinai and receive face-to-face to God. These are not those types of situations. The Urim and Thummim seem to be used primarily for everyday situations, things that come upon you very quickly, where you can't command God to come forth and to see you. No one commands God. We see in Babylon what happens when you call yourself being able to command God at will. You get rejected. You get ostracized. God turned his entire back on everybody for even trying to do such. So he puts these divination systems in place to be as a go-to in regular life, everyday life, and not all the time. But when there's no prophet amongst you, when you have no seer, when no one has a vision, then you default to these secondary devices. You always have a device to support you in your spiritual walk while aligning with God. And this Urim and Thummim we see regularly used as such. We find also that several instances, Moses using this breastpiece. We see Saul using this breastpiece. It is Saul using this breastpiece and not being able to get a word from it that leads him to go and seek the witch of Endor. He's so desperate for a word from God. God has gone silent on him. He tries to invoke the Urim and Thummim in instances, and he gets no word. He gets no answer from God. Whether it's how he needs to deal with Jonathan or how he needs to deal with the Philistines or what have you, he gets no word. He has no guidance. And this is what provokes Saul to go outside of the house of Israel and seek the witch of Endor, to go against his own law and do a thing out of desperation because he has no more insight from God. God is not giving him any type of directional in his spiritual walk as a leader of these children. When we see David, even before David, we see Samuel as a boy ministered before the Lord wearing an ephod. All of these high priests used the ephod, and they did not use the ephod on one-offs. They used it extensively and exclusively to commune with the God of Israel about leadership and about staying in alignment and best practices that they need to do in real time to keep the alignment with God, to stay within the law of God. This is what they would use this ephod for. To regulate everyday affairs amongst one another so that the people stay in alignment, so that they all abide by God's rule. The ephod was used as a tool to navigate within the real world amongst people so that they stay in alignment. We find this also with David. David has the ephod before him 2 times in scripture. When he first comes and he asks if Saul would attack Keilah, he's in a very dire state. You would have thought David would have constantly interacted with the ephod. But you don't see David constantly interacting with the ephod because David doesn't have the ephod available to him throughout his entire journey. He doesn't. This ephod is granted David by Abimelech or Ahimelech, the priest. It wasn't. Y'all, let me look it up because I don't want nobody talking no mess. It might have been Abiathar. I always get it mixed up. David. Abiathar. David said, bring hither the ephod. So it seems as though David more than likely would have utilized the ephod more extensively, but he just didn't have it. But when he had it, he used it. And these are instances that I want to bring to light because many of us, and I'm not here to support or discourage one from looking at these ephods or these divination systems that were exclusively used by the house of Israel, and that God gave the house of Israel to use. I'm not looking to, market it or to demonize it. I'm bringing it to light that these were exclusively used and used very often. It seems as though when Gideon and Micah began using them, when Gideon creates this ephod from all of the spoils he has from the Midianites. He's defeated the Midianites, a great win for Gideon. But he tells them to give them all the gold earrings and all the stuff. And he creates this ephod with it. And he probably had good intentions by it, by creating this ephod, and he sets the ephod up. Oh, well, isn't that beautiful? Adonis, you want to interact with me. I like that. What did White God say, sister? What did White God tell you this Tuesday afternoon? Well, Adonis, I'm not sure what your question is, but I'm willing to go for it. I think I have an idea. Hopefully you'll let me know if I don't. I don't know of a white God, Adonis. I don't know that. And I don't live in white and black, Adonis. You see, I don't see myself as a victim. I don't see my ancestors as victims either. I don't see us as slaves. I know that we had some hills and valleys that we've crawled through in life and that we are big time overcomers. I do know that. I do know that we have a monumental history, a broad and very rich existence. But I don't know what a white God is or what he was supposed to tell me. I don't know that. Are you saying that the Bible is a depiction of a white God? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm not understanding. I want to really effectively answer your question. Help me understand. But until you can help me understand further, I'm going to keep on going, okay? So, yes, these ephods were used quite extensively. And when we look at David, could you imagine someone? I'm a park right here on that because I think I know where this is going. And even if it's not intended to go here, I think the overall theme of what you said is synonymous with this. Many in the metaphysical community, in the woke community, don't believe that the words depicted in the Bible are real. Friend, when I tell you guys, I have come forward under the most inopportune circumstances. Just today, someone has come to my door with some disheartening news that, is challenging. And I still have come forward and I'm doing this Bible study. I've said this before. I am not a woman that is easily beguiled. I got enough courage to pull back the layers of things to get to the truth. Kind of like Dorothy on The Wiz, where she's on this journey and she finally gets to the point where she sees the Wiz. I'm kind of like that. The Wiz is going to have to come see me. I've gone so far in this journey that the Wiz is going to have to come see me. And he knows it. It's no denying it. He knows I'm not afraid. We're beyond all of that. So when we speak to this biblical story, and the fact that I come forward with these testimonies every day, not every week, every single day, it is my daily offering of bread to you. It's not a hope. I don't hope that I'm telling you the truth. I don't sit up and justify a lie just so that I have something to hold on to because I'm too weak to really dig deep and find the truth. And just because you haven't had the experiences, just because your ideology is different than mine, does not mean that my truth is a lie and your truth is greater. That is what I call ignorance. It's ignorance. We live in a vast sea of spirit, friend. This sea of spirit is so vast, you can't put one title on it. All you can do is try and make sense of what area of this ocean you are swimming in. That's all you got. Yet what you will find in walking and swimming within these waters is that there is a rhythm. Okay. That there is a rhythm. That there is a method to this madness. And that many things go by many different names. But they all lead back to the same space. Potato, potato. I could call a potato and go to another country and see a potato and it's called something completely different. It's still a potato. These are the things. And, amazing how many Black people will pray to a white Jesus that the Jewish people, he even put in a emoji. Well, isn't that wonderful? The Jewish people will never, ever pray to. Well, do you understand why? Just answer me that before I waste my time. Do you understand why there's been a discrepancy here? You want to join me? That would be fun. Let's let Adonis join me. That'll be something new to do today. Let's see if Adonis wants to hop on. Y'all, where did the term drinking the Kool-Aid come from? Adonis, would you like to join, friend? Drinking the Kool-Aid came from Jim Jones, friend. I want to add you. I don't know. Yeah, I can't add you. Well, bingo, sister, bingo. Well, good. We're in real time here. Yeah, drinking the Kool-Aid for Jim Jones. But friend, like I said, I want you to let's stay on point. You answered the Kool-Aid question, but I want you to answer, amazing how many Black people will pray to a white Jesus that the Jewish people will never ever pray to. Can you park right there and tell me why this discrepancy happened between the Jews and the Christians? Can we speak to that? I got time today, friend. Do you want to join me? Put a face to the name. Adonis? White Jim friend, let's get back to what I asked you. See, you want to go on this Jim Jones random rant. I don't really care about Jim Jones. That ain't got nothing to do with anything. Let's talk about the Jewish question. What's your answer to the Jewish question? Adonis? Well, we're not talking about the Falasha. We're talking about the Jews of Jesus' time. They're talking about the Jews that actually, that's it. I don't know what Jews he's talking about. Ask Adonis. All the questions are geared toward Adonis. Adonis, you want to answer some of these questions here, friend? See, this is what I do. So this is great. I love this. Go ahead, ask. I asked you to support your content. Amazing how many Black people will pray to white Jesus that the Jewish people will never ever pray to. And I asked you, why do you say that? How did that come about? See, so let me help y'all understand, because I'm with it. I'm completely with it. This is my thing. So I was a commenter myself. This is what led me on this little journey. This is the way that Satan put me on this path that I'm on, because I'm on a path of dealing with Satan and all his little minions. So I used to comment on people's stuff, and I would elaborate on truths or things that I found truthful, but I could support them. So the only thing that I ask any of you do, I'm cool with the comments. I think they're wonderful. I love it. And I'm going to interact back with you because I get off on that kind of thing. But I just ask that if you comment, you're able to support your comment, right? Don't shy away. Don't comment on something that you don't really know about and then turn it into a situation where it becomes combative. Like you start insulting people instead of answering the question. You begin deflecting on all kind of other stuff that don't have nothing to do with the main question because you don't have an answer for it. Ask the question, support your question, and we can have communications and open dialogue. That is a white massa image they whipped in us. Friend, look, I'm really wanting to go here. I really do. Do you want to support your content, or do you just want to talk about white people? What are you talking about that is in support of what you're saying? Theoretical. If you're going to speak to theoretical things, then intelligently support it instead of defaulting into massa and white people. What do you have to support what you're saying? And this is what frustrates me with many people. I'm cool with all of it. I'm not here as a know-it-all. There are many things that I don't know. I just got enough courage to look into them and to really gain experience in knowing them. When Little went to Black to learn about white God, then white school to learn about Romans. And friend, I'm gonna have to block you. I really don't want to do that because it makes me feel like I'm not up for the challenge. And I know I am, but this is stupid. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous. When Lil went to Blacks, see, this is the thing. It's an embarrassment culturally. It's not a good representation culturally. When Lil went to Black building, I don't know, university, to learn about white God, then white school to learn about white Romans and white Greek gods. Oh, well, I'm going to carry on because I think everybody can tell where this is going. Adonis, truth banishes ignorance, friend. Truth banishes ignorance. And yeah, we've been standing in front of a lot of these mountains too long, friend. We're standing in front of these mountains too long that we have become the mountain. We have nothing else besides the same rhetoric. It's the same rhetoric. If I know the boogeyman, let me tell you something. I'm under insurmountable challenges right now that I face daily. But I wrestle with it. I'm not over here tapping out. I'm not over here bowing down. I'm up for the challenge. I see myself capable in overcoming the challenges of my life as a single mother. Not as a single Black woman, but as a single mother. I don't tap out and I don't let the people or the situations that I'm dealing with overtake me to the point that I give them my power by constantly reminding them of the inconveniences that I'm being caused by them because of. I show up every day with the best I got. And representing who? My God. And representing my house. And representing my family. And representing myself. Being that one person in the world to change whatever narrative, whether it's culturally, whether it's genetically within the feminine diaspora, whether within the Christian house, whether within the Hebraic house, whatever. I will be the light to represent the alternate because I am not a victim. I'm a champion, friend. It's champion spirit around here. Nobody is powerful enough to victimize me. You come victimize me, you're going to leave giving me your power. You're going to bow to me. That dragon is going to bow down and let me ride, friend. There is no other way. None. And I pray that we all get to that because that is the spirit in which I come forward. Amongst insurmountable challenges in real time. I'm coming through. Come hell or high water. You better know I'm going to be there. You invited me to the party. I'm showing up. And I'm not going to be insecure and afraid and feel unwanted to show up. If I got to walk through hell, I'm going to walk through hell like I own hell. Like I'm the queen of heaven that is experiencing hell. And you should too, because this is the crown in which you are birthed into. But it's only real in your life lest you stand within it. And it has nothing to do with anything outside of your state of mind. Your state of mind. Are you a righteous representation? Regardless to what your tax bracket is. This is not just for Adonis. This is for all of you. Are you a righteous representation of your house? Or are you one of those many that tear down the wall? You got the wall looking raggedy. You're out here blaming people for your problems. Adam, when are you going to stop blaming Satan? Satan is doing what Satan is supposed to do. He's the nemesis. When are you going to stand in the totality of your creation and give him a challenge? Instead of complaining, Satan is the nemesis. Satan is the nemesis. I'm tired of Satan being my nemesis. You know how long Satan been our nemesis? Satan is controlling everything. Satan is this. So okay, you know all these things. What are you doing about it, friend? During your time that you have, what are you doing? What are you doing to solve even a little bit of the problem, to be a representation to someone else that something is possible, to show someone else, wow, these things are actually plausible. Instead of reinforcing the rhetoric of everybody being victimized. I am not a victim. I come from a mighty house and I serve a mighty God. And I'm the daughter and the heir of a mighty promise, friend. I don't know what to tell you. And I don't understand your language. It's not very clear here. When little went to black. I mean, come on. It's embarrassing. I would be embarrassed. When Lil went to black to learn about white God, then you need to get it together. Literally. And I mean that with all the love I can muster for you, because I have nothing but love for you. But you got to rise up. You got to live up to your creation. And you're not. I can read it. Complaining about what people, states of being that, look, I don't want to keep going on this. I'm not going to keep going on this. So, over 12,000 slave ships. So which ones have the name Jesus? It's endless. What is this? Is your mighty promise to viewers? I'm not understanding your question. Well, my sister, I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying is stand up, and I say amen. I hear you. Thank you, friend. You know, I really want everybody to agree with me, but I'm not the type of girl that you know, bows to indifference. I don't care if you agree or not. I could care less. The mighty promise is that if you align to the laws of God, which are the laws of your heart, which are the righteous things of life, when you pay attention to what matters, every desire that you have at that level is presented to you, and that you are protected, and that all the goodness and the mercy that this life has to offer you is granted to you in those spaces. But you must rise to receive them. Friend, I don't care if, friend, you have only 2 viewers. I'm so thankful for the 2 that are here, Millstone. That's some of your anointing. That is actually, yes, it is. That's the sum of my anointing. Oh, that was his finger is so true and need to be preached always, but people are afraid to walk in. I don't mind, friend. If I had to sit in here by myself, I would. I sit by myself all the time. Yeah. If any of you want to join me and communicate your feelings openly, I'm okay with that as well. It's all good. I don't do this for the views, friend. I really don't. I don't have a lot of views, and that's okay. But getting back to what I was saying about David, now that I know I don't have the pressure of having a whole lot of people watching me, it's just the three of you, and I'm thankful to have you here. Getting back to what I was saying about David and this ephod, David was walking. Yeah. So David was walking in during situations that he did not even understand um, the totality of. He's walking blindly through very inopportune situations. And because of that, he didn't know he didn't know he was being tested. He didn't know what the circumstances were of his situation. He's being hunted by the most powerful man in the world at the time, which is the king of the house of Israel. He's being hunted by his own house. And it's unfortunate when you are hunted by your own house. The people that could partake the most from your offering deny you, and they need it the most. They need it the most. Yet David would continue on, regardless to if anybody got what he had to give or not, regardless if anyone was privy to his situation or not, regardless if anyone supported him openly or not. He had to continue on, friend. You see, Saul was using his resources and wealth to acquire people. You see, this is what they do. Like with this, like even with social media, you got people that'll come on social media and do all kind of stuff, and they're getting compensated for doing these things. Little bits of money that ain't gonna last. That money will be gone by the end of the week, probably. It ain't no money. But the result, the lasting effects of the result are lasting in spirit. All the people that attacked David suffered, friend. None of them people prospered. None of the people that Saul was associated with that hunted David prospered. None of them. Saul's biggest gimmick was, if you support me, I'll be able to make you captains and kings, and I'll be able to offer you money and financial support. It says it right there in the Bible. It says it right there in the Bible. I did the podcast on it a few weeks ago. Oh, that was his selling point. Yet David is one of them. He's in the trenches. He done came in and out of things. Look, this ideology that David has of the God of Israel was ingrained because of David's experiences. The ideologies that I come forth with you of the God of Israel has been ingrained in me through my experiences. The things that David could offer these people, Saul could never give them. All Saul could do was allow them to fester in nonsense by financing them, leading them and all of their children straight to hell. Adonis, I really don't want to block you. I really don't, because like I said, I'm not a blocking kind of woman. I'm a face it kind of girl. Yeah, and if you could not speak it, I'm just saying, could you just show a little bit more respect to my situation over here? This is my little cubby hole. I'm not over here in yours. So in order to commune with me in my cubby hole, I would ask that you would show me a little bit more respect, okay? And if not, I'm just gonna have to block you. I don't want to, but you probably want that, and that's cool. But I really don't like to do that. And so, all these things, even if nobody experienced or partook of David's knowledge of his experiences, David did. And that's the thing with your experiences. It's not for somebody else to always understand or to always agree with you. It's not. We're at the 12 o'clock hour around here. And if you don't agree, then it's just not for you to get. If you feel like I am on the wrong foot and I'm ignorant to whatever is going on, then you just need to go on and do your thing and let me be ignorant. And you go and perfect that which you are so passionate about. But it's not for me or you or anybody or him or them or what have you to try to convert someone. It's not for me to try and go back and forth with you. Like I tried to do initially, is to understand where you're coming from so that I can commune with you and maybe have an intelligent conversation. But if I can't ever get to really fully understanding exactly what your stance is on anything outside of deflection and, disrespect, I'm not going to be able to do that. The bottom line to this podcast was that David will use these ephods and these divination systems as well, and that these divination systems transcend the entire house of Israel, the Hebraic house. The priesthood would use these systems quite extensively. They transcend the entire world. Many across the planet use these systems, and God would allow these systems to be used. It's the misuse of the system. It's the act of completely relying on the system and also calling on alternate lower gods. We spoke to in past podcasts and Bible studies of sigils being used at a time, and they still are used now. Many spirits, deities that some people acknowledge are no more than sigils, creations of the mind. You create a sigil and you create an environment and you put it in and you put your attention into it and you have it as the primary symbol for your community, and you got a lot of people pouring into the sigil. It becomes extremely powerful. You have entities that are bound by sigils. This is how they are controlled. And what we will find is that these things will become completely out of control, to the point that the people would end up worshiping them. They would no longer know that they're sigils. They would think that they were actually deities of old time. And they would begin worshiping the creations of the mind, the false prophets, the false gods. They wouldn't know the difference. They wouldn't know how to separate the wheat from the chaff. They would become one garden, and no one would be able to distinguish between the two. And it would lead many astray. And this is what we find with Gideon and him creating this ephod. It wasn't Gideon's job to create the ephod. It was the priestly community that was exclusive to this. Yet Gideon would take it upon himself, even though the intention was great. Intention didn't matter. He did it. And it would lead many of the people astray because they began diverting their attention from God to going directly to this ephod. And they would then begin to worship the ephod. And this was the sin. The divination was not the sin. When aligned properly in God's system and using it as a way to communicate to God so that one knows how to stay in alignment to God. But when it became used for nonsense and as an everyday directional, you're no longer leaning in on your own faculties. You're no longer depending on the prophets of God, nor the righteous seers of God. You are now depending upon these entities that are animating that particular device. Because just like anything else, an entity it doesn't have to be the God of Israel that gives the ephod its power. You could make it any other lower god. And this is what was happening. So this was my my word for you today. Adonis Pink, thank you for your follow. Thank you for following me, friend. Thank you for finding me relevant enough to follow me. All I ask is that I don't mind you coming and interacting with me, friend. We have more in common than you would think. I'm not a foolish person. And that's what happens. And I've been in many of these metaphysical communities and these spiritual communities, woke communities. And many have the false narrative that those that ascribe to the Hebraic system are foolish and that there's some sort of racial component to this. I ask that you broaden your spectrum of thought. I look forward to conveying more knowledge to support the broadening of your thought related to this particular perspective, because I've come into a monumental knowing, and it has nothing to do with all of the stuff that you're talking about. I don't want to make it seem like I'm greater than thou, but it seems like my experiences may have been a little bit more expansive, and I'm looking to communicate those experiences to you because it's bigger than that projection, friend. It's all about how you see yourself. And at certain levels within your ascension, all these other things begin to fall away. All these states of mind become fine-tuned. These states of mind do not serve you in your full capacity. May all our African ancestors, real true as, see, all of that kind of stuff, I don't know if you're a bot or if this is just like your way of communicating. I ask that when you communicate with me that you heighten your level of communication, because this is beneath me. And I'm not going to be able to communicate with you. And I would like to communicate with you, but at a heightened level. And it doesn't have to include any type of derogatory or slang commentary. If you and I were on the phone one-on-one, or if we were together and I knew you, then we can have those types of conversations. But because we are being projected amongst the world, I ask that you put on the mantle that supports the projection and meet me where I'm at, okay? This is my communication for y'all today. I love y'all so deeply. So deeply. If I didn't, I wouldn't come forward. You'll love more than you'll ever know. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.